have too much fun, coming up with menus and stuff. And I don't want to say, okay, you have to pick A, B, or C. And again, it's kind of tailoring things so that the couple is excited about the food, and it feels like customized to them about what they want to eat.
If you're planning a wedding and want all the secret tips for a smoother wedding day experience, then stick around as we interview some of the top professionals in the wedding industry. We are Coastline Studios, a fun-loving team of filmmakers who specialize in creating custom wedding films alongside some extremely talented people. Welcome to Let's Talk Weddings. When it comes to creating tasty hors d'oeuvres, Chef Roman from Kangaroo Kitchen knows how to take it to the next level. While Kangaroo Kitchen caters for receptions as well, today he's focused in on how to make that wonderful cocktail hour a success by planning out the best cuisine to make your guests smile with every bite.
Well, Roman, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Talk Weddings. And let's just jump right in. We're talking about cocktail hour, that great time of day between the ceremony and the reception. So as far as food for that, what would you say is the general cocktail hour rules for food?
I wouldn't say there's so much rules, there's definitely guidelines. A lot of it, depends on the time of day, whether it's early in the afternoon or later, is it around dinner time or earlier? The venue, some venues have a separate cocktail hour, some don't, so that plays a big part into the whole flow of the cocktail hour.
How much food should you anticipate for each guest?
Kind of as a guideline, we knew 2 to 3 pieces per person. Now it can definitely vary. If we do a normal, like a mingling cocktail event without a reception and stuff, you do 4 to 6 per hour, 8 to 12 for a 2-hour event. But for a general cocktail, for a wedding reception, we'll do 2 to 3 pieces per person. So say if you're doing 2 and you have a wedding for 150, you do 300 pieces, and then we offer like 3 or 4 different options as well.
And what would you say are different service options for food for different cocktail hours? It might, like you said, might depend on the time of day or...
And especially with the venue too, again, if they have separate spaces or not. The main 3 are probably past hors d'oeuvres, you have stationed hors d'oeuvres, or actually interactive stations. So the ones we typically do are the butler passed ones, which work really well, especially for a larger group, because you have 200 people. You do a stationed one, you end up with a small group of people standing around that table. The other half of the room can't get to it. People eat a lot more than they're supposed to. If you're catering 1 or 2 meatballs per person and you have a bunch of half a dozen guys standing around that table, they're not going to eat 1 or 2 meatballs. So with the butler pass, it's nice because the servers can walk around and go to one end of the group, here over here. They go to the other end, and then also kind of stagger it out during that hour, during the cocktail hour too, so that you're not serving all the food in the first 15 minutes, but you can kind of stagger it out. So
great point.
That's typically the best one. Again, if you have a venue where they don't have a separate cocktail area, then it makes it hard to do stations too, because the room's already set up, for a reception. So, yeah. We'll often do station if we do like a charcuterie platter, which becomes a nice centerpiece if there's nice lighting on top of it, and do that with the butler passed. And then we also offer the walking stations, which are fun. So the servers will actually walk around with a tray with straps, and instead of, it's kind of like at the ballpark. Okay. So we'll do shooter glasses, or we may do a shrimp station where they'll walk around with the tray. Instead of butler passing like this, it becomes a more interactive station where they'll get the shrimp and get the cocktail sauces, and all the shooter glasses, they can take it and put it straight back. So it gives it an interactive aspect to it, which is really fun.
How does a couple's budget affect what you're able to provide for cocktail hour?
We charge per piece. And again, it all depends on the couple and what their budget is, obviously. If they want scallops, it's going to push it up. But if they kind of say, this is our budget, then we'll offer a meatball. But again, instead of a traditional beef and pork meatball, we say, maybe let's jazz it up and do a chicken and dill or a turkey and apple, for instance. And a meatball's a lot cheaper than the cost of putting a little canapé together, which takes a lot of fiddly time. It's fiddly and takes time. So we can definitely still offer the same amount with great tasting food, but make it a little bit less labor intensive, I suppose.
When picking your cocktail menu, what are things brides and grooms should think about beforehand?
Dietary thing is a big one. We get a lot of questions, obviously gluten-free, the shellfish thing, the peanut thing, so we definitely take that into consideration. Just their general likes. I mean, if you're entertaining for 200 people, we tell them not to ask all their guests what their dietary requests are, because you end up with a big long list of everything. But we do take dietary stuff very important. So we base it around that, and also just their general likes. Like, what do you like to eat? What do you pick when you go out for dinner? variety, gluten-free, obviously, the vegan stuff as well, to make sure vegetarian and vegans also have options.
Do you find that the dinner menu can affect the cocktail, or do you guys try and pair the dinner menu to the cocktail?
Not so much. Our food is very globally inspired, but I don't follow any set rules.
Okay.
So it's kind of a what do you call it, melting pot of everything, but we don't do anything very authentically. So it's not like authentic Asian or authentic something else. It kind of has inspiration for everything. So our menu has a cohesive feel, so regardless of what they choose from the menus, there's nothing going to clash. It's not like we're going to do something very soya clashing with something Southwestern. It's going to have those flavors, but it's still going to merge together, both with their dinner and just the cocktail hors d'oeuvres in general.
Do most caterers have, or do they allow customized options?
Yeah, we don't do customized because I have too much fun, coming up with menus and stuff. And I don't want to say, okay, you have to pick A, B, or C. So even if, they want a stuffed mushroom, but they don't like the two options that we have on the menu, then we'll come up with something else. Or if there's candied walnuts in there, then we'll take them out if they don't want the nuts. So it's very flexible. And again, it's kind of tailoring things so that the couple is excited about the food. And it feels like customized to them about, what they want to eat, and not just saying, hey, you've got to pick A, B, or C.
Right.
Because that makes them feel like they're kind of like, I don't know.
It's not their special
Yeah,
day.
it's not their special day, so it's fun to be creative and stuff. So.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. I guess in that same vein, is there any foods that people should avoid when creating that cocktail menu, or?
Just the messiness is a big thing. Obviously, the ladies have on pretty dresses and the guys have their tux and their shirt on. Guys maybe don't care so much if they spill a bit, something, but the ladies do. So you definitely want things that are easy to eat. Also things that don't leave a lot of mess, I suppose, whether it's skewers or whether it's something else where people are left with something that they don't know where to place. Keep it kind of like a 1 or 2 bite thing where people can just pop it in their mouth and enjoy it and not have to, because they've got their glass of wine, they're eating the food, and it becomes a little more difficult.
Are there any red flags you could see when hiring a caterer for doing cocktail hour?
I don't know so much about red flags. Some of the things I suppose are, you definitely want to see pictures of what the caterer can do. You want to be able to get good recommendations from, your vendors that you work with, the wedding coordinators, the venues, past clients that have had that caterer work for them. So those are really important because it's one thing to look at things on paper, but it's another thing to actually get the product.
Yeah.
Look at proposals too, make sure they're all inclusive and that they answer a lot of the questions rather than something very simple or disorganized, because that doesn't really showcase the organizational skills of the company and stuff. Tastings, we offer personalized tastings where they come in and we tailor it exactly to them. So again, if the tasting doesn't correspond to what you expect on your reception date, that's a red flag too. So those are some things.
And I guess, what type of questions should people ask their caterer?
Personally, I think the caterer should ask more questions than the client does, because, the first thing we want to find out is what the couple has in mind. What's the theme of their wedding, what they're kind of looking for, to give us inspiration of how we can tailor things. But if the couple sits there and has to ask a lot of questions, it makes them feel very stressed. They're like, oh, what am I forgetting? What does the caterer need to know that I need to tell them? Yeah. So when we do our tastings, it takes about an hour and a half. They sample all the food, and then I sit down with them personally about an hour and chat with them. And I have my list of questions, and I go through right from the start of the reception all the way to the end, and we go through everything from the cocktail hour, the cake cutting, the when the speeches will be held, how the dinner services go, coffee, everything else. So that the couple can feel at ease as far as like, oh, the caterer, is covering all the bases and I don't even need to ask him anything more. So.
Well, Roman, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so informative on everything. And is there anywhere that people can find you if they want to find out more about Kangaroo Kitchen?
Yeah, definitely. We have a website called kangarookitchengr.com, and then we're also on Instagram at Kangaroo Kitchen GR, and also Facebook, Kangaroo Kitchen. Facebook is Kangaroo Kitchen and Catering.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And thank you again for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all the above, and make sure you tune in to Let's Talk Weddings.